All right.
Are we starting?
Hello, everybody. Yes,
Oh.
that's what the hello, everybody is for, you know. I mean, I like to talk to you, and I will always greet you, but, you know, I'm not that enthusiastic about you.
That's fair.
Hi, everybody. As always, I'm Brad. That's Mike. We're Dallas Geek. And,
Hey, why is that screen blank?
shh. Movie magic.
Oh, okay.
Movie magic.
Okay.
They don't need to know.
Oh, that's fair.
But yes, if you saw the title of our video, there's a very good chance that you're just a little bit curious about what it is that we're going to be talking about. If you read the description, well, good for reading ahead.
Overachiever.
Yeah, for the rest of you, we are a nerdy entertainment show. We like to discuss all things nerdy, and especially all things nerdy news. And, well, we kind of came across some ideas that were presented, especially from one channel on YouTube in particular that was wonderful in their take on this. Overly Sarcastic Productions. Guys, thank you for this bit of inspiration, and everybody, if you have a chance, go check out their video on their opinion on how Superman has been satirized. If you're on YouTube, it's in the description. If you're on Facebook, go to YouTube and just look up Overly Sarcastic Productions. Fantastic channel. But, you know, not now. Later after we're done.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
But no, we came across this idea that, well, it seems like a lot of comic writers and Hollywood directors are almost embarrassed to write Superman as the classic, like, ultra Boy Scout, just genuinely altruistic hero. They have to deconstruct him. They have to try to ground him for some reason. And that's kind of spread to most of the rest of superhero media. And, well, I mean, it's not hard to be able to find examples of that. Like, The Boys, I personally love. You haven't seen.
Right.
Fantastic show. Just don't let your kids watch it. Super, super dark and sadistic.
Or watch it in public.
Oh, definitely don't do that.
Or
it would not go well.
Around other human beings. You know what? Just turn off all the lights and pull all the curtains like you're a shut-in and watch it.
I mean, for a few scenes per season, that's an accurate way to watch it. But Invincible, hell, even, honestly, maybe a quarter of the MCU, definitely Phase 2 for the MCU, and basically everything DC's put out for about a decade now.
Which would be the problem.
We went back and took a look at it, and especially since Comic-Con is coming up tomorrow,
Yep.
Figured, you know, it's definitely worth analyzing and figuring out why is it that we can't really get just a genuinely good and altruistic superhero, especially one like Superman that is supposed to be that. You know, why can't we, even as an audience, accept that kind of super good hero? I mean, like, is that about an accurate description? You know, we kind of are sucky audiences, so we can't accept good superheroes.
Yes, which this is something I've been bitching about for well over a decade now. Can I say bitching?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's allowed on network television.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, easy way to go about it. If you can say it on network television, you can say it here.
Don't watch The Boys while eating.
That is accurate, especially the season 3 premiere. Don't watch that while you're eating.
That's pretty funny.
It is not good.
No, yeah, this is something I think that you and I have been talking about for I feel like it's been over a decade. Like, and I feel like that's probably underselling it because I've been saying this since Superman Returns came out.
Yes.
And that was 2006.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean that's literally 16 years ago, if I can math correctly.
Which it doesn't feel like it's been that long,
Carry the
but
one minus...
yes.
Yeah, 16 years, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But 2 years after that, we got Nolan's take on Batman with Batman Begins.
Yep. Which we're definitely going to be discussing.
Or no. I'm sorry. I've got that. I screwed that up. Batman Begins was 05, so we had just gotten the Nolan take, and then 08 was The Dark Knight.
Yes.
So
yeah, no, a lot's happened.
I don't know if because of the success of the Dark Knight trilogy, maybe Warner Brothers looked at it and said, okay, we have to do this in a certain way, but
so we're going to go ahead and dive into this.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to dissect on this, but
Yes.
I feel like while the Dark Knight definitely contributed to the problem, it by no means started the problem.
No.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the problem started in comics, and it transitioned to the movies.
So do we just blame the 90s then?
Actually, no. The 90s still had decent depictions of the super altruistic heroes like Superman and Captain America. It got mixed in with some very 90s-esque iterations.
Like Kingdom Come and other storylines.
Blue and Red Superman. I'll never forget that one. That was just...
I had.
But
Thanks for that.
But let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah.
So there are really three main points that I think we can more or less agree, where it seems like writers and directors have lost the message of Superman and really forgotten how to tell Superman properly because of reasons. The first
By the
of
way,
which...
just really quick, if anybody's wondering why I'm wearing a Statler and Waldorf shirt, this is how I feel watching anything Superman related for the last 15 years.
And if you didn't know the names of these two puppets, shame on you.
Absolutely.
Also,
and shame on you because they're not puppets, they're Muppets.
That's what I was about to say. And shame on you if you didn't catch that little mistake there. They're Muppets, not puppets.
I was about to backhand you. Sorry, continue.
That would be very appropriate for that shirt. But so the first reason, and it's a small one, but definitely one worth mentioning, of how people keep screwing up Superman stories, is they forget that the original take on Superman, the whole Action Comics #1 thing, is Superman was meant to be an immigrant allegory. This was meant to be a retelling of Moses, and that was usually pretty standard. But ever since let's say ever since the Jesusification, Christification.
I don't think either of those are verbs, but okay.
If Shakespeare can make up words, and I feel like it's okay for us.
Anyway.
But yeah, ever since the, let's say, Christification of Superman, I'm sticking with it.
I know, I think that's the problem.
It's really come down to, I don't know, people forgetting that it was Moses. It was supposed to be the immigrant, not the American, Christ allegory and, America all the time, yay America.
I mean, are you saying that two Jewish writers named Siegel and Schuster didn't create a Jesus allegory? They created a Moses allegory? Is that what you're telling me right now?
I mean, as crazy as it sounds.
Because I think you're full of crap.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It has been known to happen.
Just a little bit. Just
But,
a little bit.
Yeah, no. So we have the whole mistaking of the message of his origin.
No,
And that really does come down to us as an audience forgetting that he's not ours.
So
he's not America.
I do kind of understand where that confusion comes in, though, because it's literally the last son, or the firstborn son, sent to show humanity how to properly strive and be better and everything like that. So I understand the confusion, but I think you're right. I think that there was the sense of, like, the truth, justice, and the American way, and which wasn't an accident, because when was the character created? 38? What was going on then? Oh yeah, pretty shitty time in the world. Or maybe just a little bit. So I get it over time that, and especially like during the Red Scare and all of that, you want a symbol for like this is how America does things, and we're supposed to do things the right way, and this and that. But I mean, you had Steve Rogers, so I think it made sense for there to be a counter character in the competition, and I think Superman was that just most logical choice. So I don't necessarily think that was a total... I think that was more so incumbent of the times in that they lived in, and then it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, but at the same time...
So I think it was a more natural transition.
But at the same time, it does come back to... Superman is supposed to be the superhero for everybody. He's supposed to be the hero for the world.
And he can be, as long as you're American.
And that's kind of the problem.
Wait. No, you know what? Yes.
No,
no.
That's kind of the problem. Like, audiences have taken that idea and run with it a little bit too far.
Right,
and then writers have run with it a little bit too far, to the point where it got satirized, like genuinely satirized, in Superman Returns. With, does he...
stand for truth, justice, all of that stuff.
Yeah. And that's... Like... Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that having the red, white, and blue being his thing is a thing you need to change.
Right.
But, like...
It
really does muddle the message and the importance of him as a character, because if audiences still continue to only associate him with America and not continue to associate him with the immigrant story and the fact that he is... from another world, and he's here to save our entire world.
Right. It
does lose something in translation for why people should care about him.
Yeah, I think that's 100% fair. I don't necessarily think if it's fair. I just don't necessarily think it's fair to put all of the blame on the writers that chose to kind of steer into that a little bit heavier, just because of the time that they were writing.
I mean, fair. But and that's why this...
But I think it's a totally fair thing to say, like, hey, if you're literally having a character focus on just the ideals of one country, or like the representation of this over that, then I think it does kind of... It makes it hard for somebody that's reading on the other side of the world to relate to this character and to be like, well, this is what I should strive to be, even though, like... He basically is just taking a dump on everything that, like, my country believes in, because it's not the American way, or however you want to look at it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, look, in the grand scheme, this can feel like a bit of a nitpick. We understand that it's not...
That's why we're taking the fewest amount of time on this.
Yes. It's
almost like we planned it.
It's not supposed to be like the end-all, be-all argument of, oh, people missed the point. But it is really a good starting point, because it's where I think a lot of the next couple misconceptions kind of sprung out of.
Right.
Yeah,
which,
going into the other misconceptions, we have, basically the entirety of DC's current lineup with the DCEU, and the fact that writers and directors especially, have forgotten that Superman doesn't see himself as a godlike figure.
No.
He sees himself as a guy, like literally just a guy from Kansas who happened to have been born on another planet, and yet every director that touches the character, every writer that comes in or has come in for honestly about 10 years now or so, really wants to focus on how godlike he is, and that doesn't just mess up the scale of urgency for his stories about, well, if he's a god and he has to worry about breaking everything if he hits too hard, then threat levels are pretty relative. It's not even that. It's the disconnect with the audience and the people in the story with him.
Well, and that's why, and this is why I love Superman Returns so much, and this is why so many people crap on it, because people are literally like, it's the Superman movie where he doesn't throw a single punch. Yes, that's 100% the point. He doesn't throw a single punch in that movie because he could literally just rip people in half like they're nothing.
Yeah.
But he's better than that. Like, that is, like, thank you for making the point of that movie, and thank you for proving that it went that far over your head.
Yes.
Like, that is the
100%.
problem. The problem is that they expect, like with Man of Steel, we have to basically turn it into disaster porn where skyscrapers are falling on each other and they're literally destroying half the planet to raise the stakes, quote unquote.
Yeah. I have a lot of issues with Man of Steel.
Oh, you mean the fact that he literally wiped out half the population of Metropolis, but he's going to snap Zod's neck because he wants to kill a family of 4?
Yeah. That's actually towards the bottom of my list of problems. Even though, and please do not misunderstand us, we both think Henry Cavill could have been a fantastic choice as
100%.
Superman, because he really does look the part.
He has the aesthetic, but he also has the charm and the charisma to do both a different portrayal of the same human being as Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah, if you've seen anything else that he's done, he has the range necessary. The problem is, that's not what modern directors see him as. They see him as the big brute, the violent, the violent pacifist that can just be an imposing figure, and they don't use him the way that they could, especially in the role of Superman.
He is the guy that could end the fight in one punch if he wanted to, but he never wants it to have to get to that point.
Yeah, and that's a problem, because, I mean, when you try to focus so much on how godlike Superman is, you, within the context of the story, are going to naturally create a disconnect between him and everybody else in the universe, because you have now placed him so far above them as just a being that there's no way the audience could reasonably expect him to connect with people. Which is why, as much shit as Alan Moore gets for his superhero work, and he does, but honestly, kind of unfairly.
Well, and the amount of shit that he gives people that adapt his superhero work too.
Except one time.
Yeah.
One time that he was actually okay with it. Do you know which one that was?
It was, it was a Justice League thing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the, there we go, that one. Yeah, the man who has everything.
Yeah, for The Man Who Has Everything, was maybe one of the best examples of Alan Moore, by the way, who actually wrote proper Superman comics before he got into this whole deconstructing thing.
Yep.
He really showed why Superman is the character that we all love, and why it's so important that he does not get deified by writers and the audience.
Right.
Because in that story, it shows just how human he was, even within the context of his own hallucination.
Yeah.
And this whole alternate reality that's created in his mind, of him being back on Krypton with a family, a wife and son, and the fact that as the world is crumbling around him at the end, he still stops to care for his family in this hallucination, because that's just who he is. He can't see somebody in pain, real, imaginary, or otherwise, and not stop to try to comfort them.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact that Alan Moore saw that take on his story in Justice League and actually said that that was 100% correct.
Yep.
That's absolutely what I was trying to say. That kind of goes to explain that's what matters. But unfortunately, people have seen that, and they've seen his other works and taken the surface level message of the aesthetic, and they've forgotten what the underlying story really was.
Yeah, and there's also two other episodes in the Justice League cartoon which was so good that get it right. It's the episode where Flash taps into the Speed Force when Brainiac and Lex Luthor are combined, and you think that Clark's gonna snap and kill Lex Luthor and bring about the Justice Lords, I think is what they were called.
Yeah.
And Batman goes, like, Wonder Woman's about to go stop him, and he stops, and he's like, I'm not the man that killed President Luthor. He's like, right now, I wish to heaven I was, but I can't be that man. And he just drops him.
Yeah.
Like, right there. And then the series finale, when he's fighting Darkseid, or when he's fighting, Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, he goes on this entire monologue. He's like, do you know what it's like to have to live in a world where you can rip a building in half like it's a piece of paper, and you constantly have to hold back, and you constantly have to keep yourself in check because you know how easy it is to destroy everything around you? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this is a guy that consciously, every second of every waking day, he understands how godlike he is to the world around him, mm-hmm. and he keeps himself in check, and he never once steps across a line where he would go do anything and take advantage of that.
Yeah. And that, I think, is the best way that any writer or director has been able to handle the dichotomy of Superman, the godlike figure, and Superman, the man, was that final episode of Justice League Unlimited. But even something that was brought up in the Overly Sarcastic Productions podcast was that the Christmas episode of Justice League, where everybody was going to their homes and seeing how they were going to celebrate, and Superman notices that John Jones, Martian Manhunter, was going to be stuck on the Watchtower over the holidays, so he invites him back to Kansas to go home with him. Yeah. And the reaction that John has seeing Superman, the guy that he is so used to seeing as, this larger than life hero, just slump down in the chair and relax with his parents and just enjoy a homemade sweater and some cookies. Like, that right there epitomizes who he is. Clark Kent is the real man, not Superman. Well, Superman is the mask he puts on to do his job.
Right.
And as they put it, Superman's his customer service voice. Yeah. Which I still think is really maybe the best line I've ever heard describe him.
The other thing that I would say, too, is what he instills in others. And how much everybody else, buys into it. Like the episode that they referenced, the episode where it looks like Toyman kills Superman, but in actuality he sends him, I think it's like 1,000 years into the future.
Yes.
But Wonder Woman's about to basically rip Toyman in half, and Flash is like, we don't kill. And she's like, well, speak for yourself. And he's like, well, I'm trying to speak for Superman.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I watched that, I was like, oh, damn it. That was so well written.
Yeah. So, that seems like a pretty significant point for people to miss. Yeah. But there is one bigger point that is kind of the whole crux of the issue. The whole reason why these deconstructed superheroes, especially deconstructed Superman, just does not work. And it is that, as the title of our video says, a good Superman, or the altruistic goodness of Superman, is continually treated as his biggest weakness as a character, because audiences and so many writers and directors have seen that as like the boring thing, of course
I can't write anything.
The Boy Scout.
I can't write anything interesting for this character because he's so plain Jane and he's so boring.
But ultimately, that's not what he is.
Right.
The reason why it matters that Superman is such a good character is because, well, it's the same reason why Captain America was meant to be such a good and altruistic character. And I mean,
Nazis?
Well, no.
Oh.
I mean, technically, same original reason why he was created, but different.
No.
Yeah. But no, like, even in the first Captain America movie, it's flat out said that,
well, he is the Star-Spangled Man with a plan.
you don't need another soldier. What we need is a good man.
Yeah.
because good men can inspire the rest of us, and that is
that was such a great scene in that film, and that really captured what makes the character. Yeah, and that's why it's so honestly depressing now more than ever to see so many directors and so many writers miss the point of Superman. The fact that he's good is not supposed to be boring. If you think that's the most boring aspect of him, you're just not being very creative for yourself. Well, and
which is the problem. The reason why it matters that he is so good is because now more than ever, life is shit. There is a lot out there that is depressing and cynical in the world, and we need some heroes at least to be able to represent the good and optimistic side of life that we ourselves are currently unable to find on a daily basis. We need that inspiration from our heroes because they can be what we can't. They can be that larger than life symbol of hope and happiness. And that's literally what Superman is. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that you could say it any better. I think he is the prime example. Like, he is supposed to be the ceiling. He is supposed to be the highest point that you can attain. Mm-hmm. He is supposed to be what you are supposed to strive for and to try to attain and climb to. Mm-hmm. He should not be down on the same level with everybody else. That doesn't mean that you like deify him or you don't put him on a pedestal, mm-hmm. but that is literally the example that he sets every day. Mm-hmm. That's what the character is supposed to be. I think, like you said, so many modern takes on it have just gotten that so... like, they look at that as a hindrance when in actuality, that's everything that should be built around every story that's told about him.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I always go back to, I think Superman Returns is probably the best modern iteration of Superman.
And let's just clarify for audiences out there, when he says modern, he does not consider Christopher Reeve's Superman as being modern.
Right.
In comic book terms, everything from the Christopher Reeve era was Silver Age, and the modern age started in what, like 90s-ish?
Like late 80s, 90s, give or take?
Yeah. And we are only talking about the live-action Superman, not animated, because animated...
it'd be Justice League.
Well, no, the Superman cartoon plus Justice League.
Well, I count them as the same thing because same voice actor, basically same character.
Well, that was all part of the DC animated universe. Right. So, yeah. But, like, yeah, that was all... That more got it more than it didn't, but it even had some flaws.
It had some flaws. I'll give it that. But at the same time, like, I feel like that was in a time where everything was starting to shift towards that kind of darker tone narratively and everything like that. And dude, you even saw it in Man of Steel where they muted the colors on his suit. Whereas in Superman Returns, he has the old school underoos, bright blue, bright red. And I will always go back to that scene where we finally get him and Lois Lane together. Like, probably just past the halfway point of the movie where they're finally together. And she basically, like, reads him the riot act of why he left and everything like that. And she's like, well, you're back and everybody's happy. And he's like, well, everybody? And she's like, well, how could you leave us like that? And she kind of reads him the riot act and he's like, come here, I want to show you something. And he takes her up out into the sky and he's like, well, what do you hear? And he's like, well, I hear everything. He's like, you wrote when I left that the world didn't need a savior, but every day, every second, I hear everyone calling out for one. He's like, that's what I have to live with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm going to take you back. And he puts her back on the roof and he just flies off.
In fairness, a lot of that movie didn't have the hopeful Superman there. It was the slightly hopeful, slightly mopey version of Superman, which I fully understand that it was intended to be that was the setup, and then the sequel was going to progress back to a more, let's say, emotionally healthy Superman.
Right.
I get it, but I think that's also part of why audiences missed the point, because he didn't come right out of the gate as classic Superman.
Well, right.
Or modern Superman. That
was also a more... I feel like that was a more true to the character take on the character than anything we got in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
like Pa Kent telling Clark to let a school bus full of children drown. Oh, maybe I should have let them drown.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What? Or like the Martha Kent, like, you don't owe this world a single thing. You never did.
That misses the message so hard.
This world gave you the parents that raised you. Yeah. This world literally gave you a world to live on because yours got blown the hell up.
Yeah. And by the way, yes, Timothy, you are absolutely correct. Captain America, the First Avenger, fantastic for exactly this reason.
It's also why I think Winter Soldier is my favorite of the entire MCU.
Well, so
because I think because I feel like that was a very realistic modern portrayal of that character and how he would exist in the world today, which is also what I think about Superman Returns.
Which still
a little bit mopey, a little emotionally unhealthy, but still overall optimistic, trying to be that standard bearer. Whereas Man of Steel, he was just like, well, my dad said I don't have to be, so I guess I can just do whatever I want. I don't really have any responsibilities, right?
Well, and the funny thing about Winter Soldier is a lot of people look at that and say, oh, that was the foray into the darker tone for Captain America, but technically that's not correct. The Winter Soldier was the darker tone for the movie, but Captain America himself was still just as optimistic and upstanding of a character and personality as he was in the previous movies, which is very important to point out, because just because the movie took a darker tone, he didn't. He, as a symbol, kept the optimism, and that's what...
Like, oh yeah, we call this freedom, by holding a gun to everybody's head and telling them how to live.
Yeah, and that's what is so important about Superman and why this needs to be brought in, and the fact that, honestly, part of what makes Superman so good and so wonderful is his family.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna get Superman right, you also have to be able to get Ma and Pa Kent right. And
holy shit, did they miss the point?
Smallville,
yes,
knocked it out of the park. I will still say that. I am gonna flog myself later. The actor that was Jonathan Kent,
John Snyder.
There we go.
Schneider.
So
Bo Duke?
Schneider.
Luke
yes.
Duke.
Bo.
Oh yeah.
So John Schneider may be my favorite Jonathan Kent.
Yeah.
Because
great.
I feel like if you're going to look for a Jonathan Kent that absolutely showed the developing and the proper growth of Clark's moral compass, it was him. Surprisingly, followed by the version of Jonathan Kent from Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
There's a lot about that show that people can rag on. I will still go back.
Dean Cain is not one of them. You national treasure, you.
I will still go back and say I think Dean Cain was actually a fantastic Superman, and I think Jonathan Kent from that show, which I hate the fact that I don't know his name, but I think that Jonathan Kent was one of the best.
Yeah.
Like, he just felt... He'd come on screen, you'd hear him talk and see his interaction with Clark on screen, and you just feel the warmth. And that is exactly what Jonathan Kent is supposed to be, which is what creates that in Clark, so that he can take that out to the world as Superman.
Yeah,
like, you need that.
It's like that is where he gets his moral compass from, is from the Kents, is from his mother and father.
Yeah.
So, like, when you have in Man of Steel everything that's going on, and in Batman v Superman with everything that's going on, like, well, no wonder he was a moody, emo shit. Like, it just, God, there's just so much about those two movies that just piss me off.
Yes.
Like, it's me and a buddy of ours, Zim, friend of the show. And,
of course, they know who David is.
Yeah. A friend of the show.
Yes.
Frequent special guest of the show. We were talking after we saw Thor the other night, and he was like, I thought Man of Steel was a great movie. I was like, you're right, it was a great superhero movie, as long as it's about a random superhero and not Superman. Because as a Superman movie, it was a piece of shit.
Yes. But before we go down another rabbit hole that we do not need to, because that goes into tirade land.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and just...
By the way, who the hell thought it was a good idea to give Zack Snyder the reins to the keys to Superman?
I mean...
Who saw anything that guy had done up to that point and like, yes, hopeful?
I mean, in fairness, his mastery of technology is apparently quite adept.
Sure. That's why Army of the Dead was so good, right? Oh, you haven't seen it. Yeah, do yourself a favor.
Once again, that was you.
Oh, I did.
You chose
I watched
to do
it.
that to yourself.
By the way,
also, there were no... There was no, let's say, bots involved with Army of the Dead.
Alleged bots. We're done calling him a visionary, right? After that shitty movie.
I hope so. But with that...
But how does that guy get the keys to the kingdom? How does he get the keys to the vehicle?
With that, guys...
I want to know!
Thank you so
Tell
much.
me! When Christopher Nolan's telling you that it's too dark.
I mean, visually, yes.
Not even that. When Christopher Nolan, who just did a trilogy about a moody-ass superhero, was like, hey, you guys know that this superhero is supposed to be, like, optimistic and hopeful, right? Like, hey, don't have him snap Zod's neck.
Hey.
You know that.
Hey.
You know that, right?
Hey.
You know that happened. Nolan told both...
We could have had Nick Cage as Superman. Just saying.
Dude, I think I would have taken a Tim Burton Superman over Man of Steel.
But with that, guys, thank you for joining us on this journey of...
I would take a Tim Burton Superman with Nick Cage. And I
I was about to say no tirades, but minimal tirades.
And that's coming from somebody that saw the two Batmans that Tim Burton did and recognizes them for the pieces of shit they are. Sorry. What flavor is that?
Melon. Well, Melon Mania. Also, if we ever...
Thank you to our sponsor for today's live stream.
Yeah, I mean,
kidding.
As far as I know, no logo's been shown. But if y'all ever want to, sponsor us, we're not going to say no.
No logo shown on the live stream. Let me just...
But thank you guys so much for joining us down this rabbit hole.
Yes.
It has been a lot of fun talking about this. Obviously,
Has it really been fun?
We've touched on this type of stuff a few times before, but never in depth like this.
Yeah.
And especially because we know, starting tomorrow through the end of Comic-Con, we are going to be getting
Sunday.
Yes,
Sunday's the last day, right?
Who knows how many superhero movie and show announcements from both Marvel and DC. And more than likely, half of them are going to end up perpetuating this exact problem.
If I don't get a cast and director announced for Fantastic Four, I will burn something down.
So, that's a thing.
Yeah. Sorry.
But no, we figured this is probably the perfect time to be able to talk about this.
It seemed appropriate, right? With the timing and everything.
Yeah. But yes, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, if you have not already, please do not forget to like us and follow over on Facebook. Like the video, share with your friends, family, strangers on the street,
Worst enemies, mortal enemies, all that stuff.
And since this is Facebook, former classmates from high school that you still keep in touch with vaguely just to try to peripherally understand what they're up to and whether or not you're falling behind in life. Because
who stayed hot, who didn't.
Existential dread and depression is a thing. Also,
so our 20-year reunion's coming up.
Also, don't forget to go like the video and subscribe over on YouTube. And do not forget to click that notification bell because YouTube is not always good about telling you when we are going live or when we have a new video up. And so if you click that bell and choose all notifications, you'll know absolutely when we go live and can jump into our live comments and, talk with us. Maybe you'll get your comment discussed on screen. Who knows?
Slide into the DMs, as the kids say.
That's something entirely different.
That's different? Okay.
No Doja Cat moments. Because that's not going to end up being a dated comment in like a month.
No, I don't think it will be. I think that's going to stay topical for a long damn time.
Well, it's the internet. It could be dated by next week. Who knows?
That's true.
Also, if you want to be able to keep up with our content, but don't always have time for the videos, you can get the audio version of our live shows and interviews and, other random podcasty stuff that we tend to do here and there over on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and the one that's not on here because it's only just recently become a thing, Facebook Podcast, which is only available on the mobile app because I guess desktop users don't need podcasts. I don't know. Either way. But seriously though, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely appreciate having y'all keep up with the videos. And until next time, I've been Brad. That's Mike. We are Dallas Geek. And, yeah. See ya.